Hey everybody, Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard here. Longtime followers of this channel would know that I have a weird obsession with long-running movie franchises. Going between different writers and different decades, different styles, it's all very interesting to me. So that's why I do my ranking videos that I do all the time. But I thought it would be fun to do a franchise that I have never seen before. So I thought I would give it up to my Twitter followers to tell me which franchise that I have never seen before should I watch all the movies and rank them. And you guys all came up and said Mission Impossible. So that's what I'm doing today. Mission Impossible from worst to best. Yes, Mission Impossible, the franchise that follows the rampages of the IMF, or the Impossible Mission Force, as they continually save the world, one Tom Cruise suicide attempt at a time. Now, I have not seen any of these movies prior to the last month where I finally went through and shotgunned them all. So here is my full ranking from someone who just saw these all in 1 month. Here we go.
Number 6, Mission Impossible 2.
Yeah, I do not see how Mission Impossible made it past this one. This is a terrible movie. Of course, I always say that about the worst movies in my ranking lists, but this one is really bad. I don't even have anything really good to say about it. It is the reason why I hate Tom Cruise. Everything about his acting in this is just swarmy and gross and creepy and weird, and it's the look of a man that's never had a problem once in his entire life. Like, it is just the worst. And even barring Tom Cruise, it's just like a generic honeypot mission, like something Archer would have taken care of in like one 30-minute episode. And they stretch it out. It's over dramatic, over hyped up. The action scenes I find are very weak. It's John Woo trying to like do his slow motion and his doves, and it's all symbolism and epic, and it just falls incredibly flat for me. It's just bad.
This is not mission difficult, Mr. Hunt. It's mission impossible.
Number 5, Mission Impossible.
So I think this is the first time the original movie from a franchise has been this low on the list. So here's where I kind of lied a little bit about the premise of this video, is I did see Mission Impossible back in 1996 when it came out, but I remember nothing of it, and I remember not really liking it all that much, on top of being very confused by everything that happened in it. Now, rewatching it decades later, it's a bit better. This is the best I've seen Tom Cruise, I think. I like his acting in this, and he's very much kind of an everyman, kind of action figure type, and I like that. The mission is very interesting. Compared to the other movies, this one's a much more low-key, small mission rather than the world's gonna end, and I find that to be a bit more refreshing, giving it a bit of a smaller, look to it, a bit of a smaller feel. And it's kind of joyfully quaint nowadays, as all the super high-tech stuff that they thought of in 1996 is just sort of stuff now, or even out of date compared to now, and that's kind of fun and interesting to kind of see that, like how the internet works in this movie is incredibly goofy. I really enjoyed that. That made it funner for me. Probably back in the day it seemed very high-tech and interesting, but in the end it is kind of bland. It doesn't age very well. The action scenes are they're okay for the time, but compared to the other movies coming up, a little bit weak. So that's why it's a bit lower on this list. There's nothing necessarily bad about it, but it just doesn't stand out.
I understand you're very upset.
You've never seen me very upset.
Number 4, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation.
So Rogue Nation just barely beats out the original Mission Impossible, and my main problem with it is that it's just sort of another Mission Impossible movie. The IMF has been disavowed. Ethan Hunt has been disavowed. They have to do another heist thing where they have to come up with something crazy to go get a small thing. There's something that crazy happens during that heist that slows them down. It's all just sort of the same stuff over again. They try to do some more interesting things with it, but overall it's just sort of another movie. And honestly, even the fact that I just recently watched this, I can't think of a whole lot that really happened in this that made it very interesting. I believe this is the one where Tom Cruise is on the side of a plane, but outside of that, I don't know, this one's just sort of there. It's just sort of another Mission Impossible movie.
The time has come to dissolve the IMF.
Now, I want you to choose your next words very carefully.
Number 3, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol.
Now, this Mission Impossible was crazy for me. I don't usually get vertigo from movies, but seeing Tom Cruise on the outside of the world's tallest building, just kind of dangling there, having the window open and people like looking over the edge like, oh, my palms got sweaty. It's like, oh my God. And that made this really cool. On top of just a really cool mission. I really like seeing Simon Pegg be a bit more in the team. This is where I feel like he really cemented his spot on the team. And I liked where they went with this one. It was, they had to take some really deep risks to get a hold of the MacGuffin that they had to get a hold of, but it was still as interesting with some very cool effects, some very cool action moments, and I found this one very fun.
I remember, blue is glue.
And when it's red,
Dead.
Number 2, Mission Impossible 3.
Okay, this is the Mission Impossible where I finally got it, and I get why they had so many of it. Is because of Mission Impossible 3. This one is brutal and gritty and just visceral. When he's getting tortured, it is painful, and it's just really cool to see just how dark this is. The darkest this franchise got, and I really enjoyed it. It had some really great moments again, and it turned me completely around from me seeing Mission Impossible 2 where I'm like, oh my God, this is gonna be a long watch, to being excited to see where they go with this franchise. I really like seeing Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain. I think he is the best villain of this entire franchise. He was creepy and smooth and didn't really give a shit about IMF and was just on a whole nother plane. And this one was yes, I finally get why people like Mission Impossible. It is incredibly enjoyable, and this one was my favorite up until...
I'm gonna find her.
2.
I'm gonna hurt her.
1.
And then I'm gonna kill you right in front of her.
Number 1, Mission Impossible Fallout.
So if you watched my top 10 sixth movies, I mentioned this one saying that I haven't seen it, but out of all sixth movies ever made, this has made the most money. It had the best critical response. This was kind of the best seen sixth movie. And I can finally say I absolutely agree. This is insane. Henry Cavill came in and added a huge extra level onto this movie. And Tom Cruise was actually really cool. The action scenes were amazing. The overall effect of small nuke bombs going off in different countries was a really scary event that's gonna happen. It really had me on the edge of my seat, and I really enjoyed this one. I can't wait to see what they do, because they have 2 more Mission Impossible movies at minimum planned, and I can't wait to see where they go with this. On top of all that, this is the first Mission Impossible movie to really take into account continuity. Previous Mission Impossible movies, they had kind of nods and things there, but really you can come into each one completely fresh and kind of get where everyone is at. This is the first one that's like, oh yeah, Ethan Hunt's wife from the 3rd one? Yeah, here's what happened and here's where she is. And here's stuff that happened from the last movie pulled into this one, including bringing over the villain from Rogue Nation into this movie. And I thought that was really cool to like actually finally have some continuity in this. And as you all know, I'm a huge continuity nerd, so that made me incredibly happy to see some things actually pull over and we can actually see some growth of these characters. So like I said, with 2 more in the wings and the fact that they're finally introducing some real continuity into this, it's very cool to see where they're going from here.
How many times has Hunt's government betrayed him, disavowed him, cast him aside? How long before a man like that has had enough?
So that's my ranking of the Mission Impossible movies. What do you think? Let me know your personal ranking in the comments below. Hit that thumbs up if you enjoyed this video, and let me know if there's any other franchises you want me to tackle in future videos. But for now, I'm Sexy Matt the Pharaoh Wizard. Hold on to your hold sites.